Hello and welcome to Georgia Bulldogs Live here on the Georgia Voice of College. What am I trying to say? Georgia Voice of College Football. There we go. I got tongue-tied there. I'm your host, Matt Green. My co-host over there, Bo Underwood. Bo, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Matt. How are you doing, dude?
Excellent, sir. It's been a long day. We're getting closer and closer to the college football season. I guess to some it's officially game week, but
Yeah.
I don't know. For week 0, we're still counting down to the real first Saturday of week 1.
If you're an Iowa State Cyclone, then this is game week, baby. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I love the purpose that week 0 serves. It's such a nice soft launch of the season before you get the real deal on week 1. I'm excited. Every single year week 0 comes on, I'm locked in because I'm so grateful to see meaningful football on my TV because I love the NFL and I love the NFL preseason, but it just doesn't quite do it for me, as an entertainment experience.
Yeah, that's always the weird part of the season to me. It's like we're counting down to college football season, and then we're like 3 or 4 weeks away, and it's like, oh yeah, there's NFL, and it's I feel like I'm surprised by it every single year. It's like the first week of August, and we already have NFL football, but yeah, like you said, and it's so weird how it's like some guys play in the preseason, some don't. It feels like Michael Penix has 2 career starts. How many? That seems like a kind of guy that would play in preseason. See what he's got, but everyone wants to protect their assets. And then how do you feel if you're a guy who does play in preseason? You're like, I started some games. What the team doesn't value me? I could go out there and tear an ACL. No one cares.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to see all the rookies and stuff. It's fun to watch Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders and Cam Ward and all those guys. But if you ever actually I'm a huge Detroit Lions fan, and we played in the Hall of Fame game this year. And that game was played on July 31st. I was so starved for football that of course I turned it on and watched it. But then after the first quarter, I was just like, okay, wait, I forgot why this kind of sucks. Cause it's just, it's the backups of the backups playing, and that's cool. It's cool to watch guys try to make the team and everything and fight, but it's not quite the same as the real deal, like we were saying.
No, I'm with you. That's like the NBA All-Star game to me. It's like, I don't know about you, but do you ever play 2K and play in the blacktop mode?
Oh yeah, all the time.
That's how we would do when we get a group of friends together. You just pick whatever teams, play 3-on-3, 5-on-5, whatever. And you're just assembling your best team. It's like you see these NBA All-Star rosters and you're like, oh, that'd be a fun team to watch. And then you're like a minute into the game, like, oh yeah, I forgot this game is terrible and no one plays any defense. It's like I got excited about this team that could hypothetically play together, but no, it's never actually good.
Dude, you want something that's really cursed? Watch the NBA preseason. I don't even know what goes on there.
Yeah, it's pretty much rookies and then guys that I don't know are trying to have been in the G League and trying to get a roster spot.
Yeah, very much.
It's not great. Caden the Diesel Freak already chiming in the live chat. I appreciate it. Dogs Nation is barking, ready for the season. I feel like it's Dog Nation, not to be a stickler here, but I guess Dogs Nation, I appreciate you tuning in live, Caden, and watching. We appreciate you as always. And everyone, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. That helps us out. Coming to you a little bit late. We were shooting for 7 o'clock. We got around 7:30 or so. But yeah, we come to you live every Monday throughout the season, as well as we'll have sporadic post-game reactions. I don't know if it's immediately after the game is over. Maybe we hit you at the end of the night when we've had a chance to process everything that's happened in college football. But we'll be doing those post-game shows throughout the season as well.
Yes.
But sir, it is yeah. We are 12 days till the college football season. For those of you, and I don't know if everyone's even picking up on our graphic on our YouTube channel. That the countdown is in the thumbnail there, folks, every week. And if you're wondering, we're previewing the 2025 season. Why is there a picture of Tavaris King That's because we're 12 days till the college football season. And TK, the Habersham Central product, that's the best number 12 I could come up with. Was there any number 12s that you had out there?
I think Tavaris King is the one, man. The other one that comes to mind is like Brock Vandegrift, who was a backup quarterback, didn't really get much of a shot at Georgia, but Tavaris King was a beast, dude. That's one of the first Georgia players that like I remember watching. He was a baller, man. He's one of the more slept on receivers that Georgia's had in the 21st century, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. He had the streak of years without a 1,000-yard receiver has continued. What are we? I think 2002 was the last year of Terrence Edwards. So whatever that math is, 22 straight seasons without a 1,000-yard receiver. Tavaris King got about as close as anybody. I don't know. Yes. I don't have the stats in front of me, but 43 catches for 950 yards and 9 touchdowns his senior year in 2012. And man, that receiving core in 2012 was so deep. We all know how close that team got to winning the SEC and honestly winning the national championship. But yeah, another 700-yard, 8-touchdown season as a junior. Tavaris King was just super solid. I feel like he's that guy. He's not necessarily like the receiver you like feed the ball, but it's like I feel like his good games, he'd have like a 3 for like 85. You know, like he's just good for like one of those big plays. A good deep route, or a good deep threat receiver. And he had that one, was it a playoffs game with the Giants? Like kind of randomly, like he just kind of had like a 2-touchdown game. I want to say it was a playoff game.
He had a pretty decent NFL career. So I don't know. I think
I couldn't remember.
He did. Yeah. He had a 41-yard touchdown in the wild card game in 2016.
Okay, there you go.
That was the last time the Giants, or no, not the last time the Giants made the playoffs. They made the playoffs one more time since then. But yeah, that was the year the Giants took the boat picture. Do you remember that?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Like they had a
all downhill from there.
Yeah, like they had a pretty great team. Like their defense was really good. They had Odell Beckham, who at that point was a superstar. Eli Manning was a bit washed, but you know, like he was a veteran quarterback. He made good decisions.
Yeah.
And then it all came crashing down when they got on that boat and flicked up, man. The Giants have never really been the same.
That's wild. Was Sterling Shepard, was he part of that team? I want to say maybe that part of that receiving core.
I think that might have even been before Sterling Shepard.
If I'm looking at 2017,
I mean they had like an old Victor Cruz on that team, and then like no Sterling, that was Sterling Shepard's rookie year. Okay, I just looked it up.
Okay.
Yeah, but like the receiving core outside of Odell Beckham was like kind of bad. That just shows how good Odell was. But yeah, shout out to Tavaris King, man. He was a beast.
Yeah, for sure. For the old heads, they can remember one of the highest ranked recruits Georgia ever got. And I feel like it sucks how guys' perception is so dependent on like what their recruiting ranking was. Because a guy like Brandon Miller was just like a solid like 4-year player, a linebacker. I want to say like 02 to he would have been he was on the blackout. I think his senior year was they had the blackout jerseys and everything, 07. So maybe he was like 03 to 07. Is that math right? He's a red shirt, maybe 04 to 07.
Maybe 4 or 5.
But yeah, like Brandon Miller was, I think if you go back and look at 24/7 has like the all-time recruit ranking. I think Brandon Miller is like top 5, top 10, like all-time recruits Georgia ever signed. Like he was big time, and it's like he didn't pan out as that. But so I feel like some people remember him a certain way, but he was a quality player, number 12. That's really, you're throwing out some backups like Vandergrift, like Bryce Ramsey.
I was gonna say Bryce Ramsey, yeah. Because
but yeah, what number was Grayson Lambert?
Grayson Lambert was number 11, I believe. I think people were mad about that. Murray's number. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right about that. Number 11. And then Julian Humphrey a year ago. Not remembered quite as fondly when you transfer on those terms. Oh, Jawan Briscoe. You remember Jawan Briscoe a few years ago? I think I know he got I want to say he got an interception. Was he against Kentucky or someone? Early game, like Kirby's first year. first or second year. DeAndre Baker like beat him out. I want to say like game 2 or 3 and like never looked back. But Jawan Briscoe, there's a 12 for you right there. That's a random one for sure.
Yeah, I think those are the only ones I can really you can even think of. Tommy Bush, remember him? I mean,
Tommy Bush. There you go. There's a name right there. Oh, that's funny.
Well, that's weird because 12 is like one of the best numbers in all of football. I feel like it's legendary. It's like the quarterback number. And Georgia doesn't have. I mean, outside of Tavaris King, there haven't been that many significant players from our history that have worn that number.
No, it's not exactly the same as number 19 like we did a week ago.
Yeah.
It's just loaded with superstars, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are 12 days till Georgia football kicks off, sir. And as Dan Quinn would say, I'm jacked about it.
I'm jacked about it.
I don't know. I think it was 92.9 or 680. You used to always play that clip all the time.
Wait, why did Dan Quinn say that?
I don't know. Just me as Falcons coach, I'm jacked about it. I don't know. They would play the clip all the time. Dan Quinn, gets hated on. Gets hated on a lot for that 28-3, but clearly, damn good coach. He's got the Redskins, the Commanders, I should say.
Yeah, dude. His career was in jeopardy after the way things ended in Atlanta. He goes to Dallas, great DC. Now he's a great head coach. Shout out to Dan Quinn.
For sure. But the folks did not tune in for the NFC East talk with the Giants and Commanders.
Yeah,
they're here. We're here for college football for the Georgia Bulldogs, and Georgia had their second scrimmage, which I think is commonly believed to be the most important scrimmage. And then I think we found out that it's going to be the last scrimmage this offseason. There is not going to be a third one. So some notes out of you've seen some notes out of the most recent scrimmage. What were your biggest takeaways that you saw from the most recent scrimmage?
Well, the number one thing that I took away from all the reports, I was reading, stuff by Connor Riley and Mike Griffith and all those great folks. Apparently Juan Gaston is like about to win that guard job. From what I saw everywhere is not everywhere. From what I saw from the 3 or 4 articles that I read, is that the offense looked a lot better when he was out there, and I think that's really interesting. The narrative around him this whole offseason is like, yeah, he's a 5-star recruit, but he's way too overweight and he has to get into playing shape. And I think he came in at like 380 or something, and they were like, dude, that's too much. You have to get that down. And I think he's shed somewhere between 25 and 30 pounds if the reports are to be believed. And if he gets into playing shape and he's a starter right away, that's very interesting, because I think the last true freshman that started on Georgia's offensive line was Andrew Thomas. And so
is that right? We gotta go back that far.
I believe that's what I saw. And it sounds right. I mean, I can't think of anybody else. There might have been a redshirt freshman, but
I know Isaiah Wilson was a redshirt freshman that following year.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a huge deal, George. I mean, we have so many questions about this interior offensive line, and the tackles are flipping sides, and you have Micah Morris finally stepping as a full-time starter. Drew Bobo's a starter. It's like, who's going to be that other guard? And if Daniel Calhoun really did get hurt in the spring and it's just going to cost him the job, that really sucks for him. But if Juan Gaston is a guy that's earned the job, then he's earned the job, and I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah, and I think that is huge, and I think his recruiting profile lists him at 6'7", 360. Juan Gaston out of Westlake, like just insane, insanely huge human being. But yeah, maybe I'm not saying you're wrong that he showed up at 380. That's absurd. That's a huge human being. I think you're hearing that, and you've seen this in recent years too for Georgia, that they kind of like to rotate 3 guys at 2 spots.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Fairchild Ratledge and Micah Morris a year ago. I was literally talking about this yesterday, and I should have looked this up because I was blanking on the rotation that Amarius Mims was always in. Was it Warren McClendon, Amarius Mims, and then one other guy at that tackle? It seemed like they would kind of rotate 3 guys at the 2 tackle spots.
Was it like Warren Erickson? Like Or was that too?
No,
Is that
because he would have been a
Yeah,
guard.
Warner would have been gone. I mean,
I was blanking. You got anything?
Like Ernest Green was on the roster at that time. I don't think he was playing though.
So that could have been Ernest Green, Mims, and McClendon. I know Broderick Jones was kind of when he was.
Well, dude, was it Willock?
Oh, wait, he was a guard though, wasn't he?
He was a tackle.
So it could have been. Man, I'm totally blanking on it. And like you've seen, like Georgia kind of progressed that next star. Like Broderick Jones kind of was that third tackle, before he kind of took over, and Amarius Mims kind of that third tackle before he took over. Like, so it's interesting for Juan Gaston just be kind of thrown in there as not saying thrown in there like he didn't earn the job or anything. So for him to take that job as a true freshman, like that could be massive. Hopefully it's a good thing. Hopefully it's not because Georgia doesn't trust any of the guys at guard and they're going to bring in this freshman, and hopefully, we'll see what happens. But from what it sounds like I was saying with that 3-man rotation, it sounds like Micah Morris, Juan Gaston, and Michael Uini is going to kind of be that 3-man rotation at guard, with Bobo holding down the center spot. And I think Cortez Smith, the true freshman, sounds like from Parkview is the number 2 center so far, at least in this most recent scrimmage. And then who were the tackles? It was Jaw Jackson and Bo Hughley, I think, were the second stringers at the tackle spot. So like recruiting rankings wise, like that should be a really solid 2 deep. But I think we're a little shell shocked with what happened last year of like this offensive line was not very good. And now we just lost 3 dudes to the NFL. Surely, just being the University of Georgia, this O-line's got to get better this year. But I think if Juan Gaston is an impact player, that could go a long way.
Yeah, and I'm not an offensive line coach or anything by any means, but I do feel like a part of the reason that Georgia's offensive line kind of underachieved last year, when you look at the fact that they had like 3 day 2 picks on the interior and the running game wasn't that good, is they not only did they have a ton of injuries, but I think maybe it was a bit of that guard rotation that they kept doing combined with the injuries that just prevented them from getting into a rhythm and finding their groove as a unit. And like, I don't think people understand like how important it is to just have your offensive line getting reps together, like not when I say people, I mean, the average fan. I don't mean coaches, of course, but like, you just never really saw the offensive line click last year with Georgia at any point, despite how talented they were. And I think it's just because they didn't have enough reps together, that group of 5 dudes. So I'd almost rather see Georgia, I understand early in the season they have these 2 cupcake games and they're going to use them to rotate guys and figure things out. But I would like to see them, develop a 5 that they stick to for the most part. And I understand, a lot of that is you crossing your fingers that there's not an injury. But barring injury, I would like to see Georgia really come up with their 5-man front and stick to it, because I think that goes a long way in terms of just building a rapport as a unit and being a complete 5-man unit, which I don't really think we saw them last year really have.
Yeah, I think you're right. Just a cohesive group like just goes a long way. I mean, and who knows if we're looking at like wherever Ernest Green and Monroe Freeland get drafted, assuming they get drafted, we're going to look back at that 2024 O-line that it just, the whole was not equal to the sum of the parts. It clearly, for whatever reason, just didn't click. Maybe it's the injuries. Maybe it's just whatever it was. It just didn't work. And so hopefully there's improvement on that in 2025. I think, we've talked about stargazing in the past, and the scrimmage isn't the end all be all, but the fact that Ellis Robinson got the start in the second scrimmage, I think that's one of the things I'm more excited about. And when I hear to bash Daniel Harris or anything, he could still be a solid contributor for Georgia. I've seen people talking about like every catch that was made in the scrimmage, it seemed to be caught on Daniel Harris. No shade thrown at Daniel Harris. Apparently he had a great spring. Dude's a ridiculous athlete, like 6'4" or something at that corner spot. Just looks huge. But Ellis Robinson, there's not many guys that have a pedigree of 5-star number 1 player in the country. And I think the fact that if he has grabbed that second corner spot, I just think a lot more Georgia fans feel a lot more comfortable about that secondary. Rightly or wrongly, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's again, you never want to just like freak out about a guy's rating, but like at the end of the day, I mean, Ellis Robinson was a top 3 recruit, and he has everything that you could want physically. He looks the part and all that. And even if he hasn't, completely won the number 2 corner job, which I would really be surprised if right now Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann are sitting together saying, yeah, we're going to start Ellis Robinson and Daniel Harris is going to be the backup. I don't think it's that simple. But I do think that him getting the start on the second scrimmage, which, yeah, like you said, is like the more important one generally, I think that shows that he's just going to play more last year. I think it shows that he's going to be not a complete. He was virtually a non-factor last year. I mean, let's just say it. Like he didn't really play. When he did play, it was in garbage time, and he looked pretty good in garbage time. But you look good in garbage time. It's like there's only so much you can take away from that. So, yeah, that's a very welcome sign, and I'm with you, man. I'm really hoping we get more Ellis Robinson ball in 2025. Would be very surprised if he's just like the week 1 starter right away and just plays the whole year, because Daniel Harris is also just a good player too. But Georgia's got a pretty good problem to have at that other corner spot right now. So it'll be cool to see what they do with it during the season, because I really don't know. I mean, you want to just always have your best 5 DBs on the field, and I really don't know what that is for them. It'll be very cool to see what that secondary ends up taking, what shape it ends up taking.
For sure. And I think Adrian Maddox got the start opposite KJ Bolden in this one. So maybe he's got to step up on. Yeah, at the other safety.
Okay, interesting.
And then Aguero was at star, I believe, right? Are you hearing something different?
That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah. Maddox, that's interesting, because Maddox has been the one of the 3 guys that transferred in. They've been saying that Maddox is the one that's going to play star. So that's interesting that they've got him playing safety.
Yeah, that is. So I don't know. Maybe that room is still a little fluid, and we'll see what happens with Jaden Harris and with Zion Branch. Maybe things change there. But one name we have not mentioned at all, who apparently was getting starter reps at outside linebacker, was Chris Jones, the redshirt freshman out of Virginia. Like, we haven't even mentioned this guy's name. And it's like, I mean, this guy, you look at his recruiting profile, he's the 127th ranked player in the country coming out of Virginia a year ago, 132 in the composite. Like, this is clearly a big time player. Maybe this is just the embarrassment of riches that Georgia has in the recruiting game. But I think this is someone we haven't even mentioned at all. And he might even start at that outside linebacker position. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe this guy's coming in practice, or maybe we're right to be really worried about the outside linebacker position, because this guy wasn't really on our radar. Outside of Elo Mendoza, we really don't know what the rest of that group's going to look like.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's kind of out of left field, because I always thought that Chris Jones was like strictly an inside linebacker. But I guess, I mean, they do just cross-train guys all the time, so maybe I should have just figured. But yeah, at this point in the year, it's an interesting thing to be like, yeah, this guy that no one has heard of or no one talks about is all of a sudden getting these first team reps and things like that. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like you think that screams more, we don't know what we have, or wow, this guy's really good, he came out of nowhere. I kind of feel like it's more the former.
Well, and it's hard to say a guy. It's hard to say a guy came out of nowhere when he is a top 130 recruit coming out of high school, and he is just in his second year on campus. So it's not exactly. I'm sure this guy's not surprised, to be starting. His family's not surprised if he's a potential starter. Like this, he's clearly big time. But I think with what Georgia's room was, and some of the more highly ranked players come out of high school, whether it's Isaiah Gibson or something who is a true freshman. Or I guess his high school ranking is probably higher than someone like Quintavious Johnson, who's probably still going to play a lot in that spot.
They were probably
yeah, maybe around the same. Just something, a 4-star, top 200, top 150 recruit or so. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting, because I think we don't know what to expect. That defensive line group, you heard a little more about Elijah Griffin this most recent scrimmage as well. Like he made a couple plays. So I'm excited to just see this team actually get on the field. And then the running back position is the other one that, you heard Dwight Phillips apparently had a nice run in the scrimmage for a touchdown. Chauncey Bowens is apparently, had his best weeks of practice the last couple weeks. And Bo Walker is still kind of creating a buzz there, the true freshman. Like it feels like, I don't know that this backfield, like from a top end is better than last year, but man, it is about 5 times deeper. It feels like it feels like Roderick Robinson right now is like your 6th running back or so, when he was kind of being relied to be like maybe number 2 or 3 coming into last year. So I think, and I still think Roderick Robinson has talent. I don't know if Georgia can rely on him because of some of his injury history, but it feels like there is a lot of question marks, but they're starting to feel like good question marks. Like we just don't know who it is, but whoever it is, it feels like they have that ability.
Right. Yeah. And without saying too much about our predictions that we made that we'll talk about in a minute, that was the biggest thing that just looking at the running back room and reading all the names, like you said, that was my thing that I realized is like, wow, this is a much deeper room than it was, a year ago. Because think about it, last year, you had both of the Robinsons in that backfield, but neither of them were really around that whole season. I mean, Roger Robinson was virtually out for the whole year. I know he came in for a little bit. Same thing with Brown, but those guys were basically not available. Cash Jones is a backfield threat type of guy, to use a college football 26 term. I mean, he's a receiving guy out of the backfield. He's not going to give you a ton as a runner. And then you had Etienne with his injury. So like it really got to a point where it was Nate Frazier, true freshman. And then it was like, we'll put Dylan Bell in sometimes, and that doesn't seem like running back is a position. I mean, it's the most tackled position in the sport. You're going to have injuries at the running back position every single year. I'm sure that this year will be no different. But I agree. I mean, Georgia has a pretty good contingency plan against injury, on account of the fact that they have 5 or 6 different running backs that you and I can sit here and say, yes, we can see this guy having a role this season, which was not the case last year.
For sure. And Trevor Etienne, we knew we were all excited for him to come to Georgia last year. I don't think we knew he was going to be clearly head and shoulders our best running back and arguably our best offensive playmaker last year, right? You knew that. And Etienne was a stud, and I'm super disappointed that Etienne went pro and didn't come back for his senior year, for just what this backfield could have been. But yeah, I think you're starting to see there's some guys there that have the ability. So maybe not Trevor Etienne, but maybe we'll still be all right.
Yeah, it really is unfortunate to lose Etienne because I thought he could really stand to have a great year coming back. But I guess the silver lining of him leaving is now you have all these other young players who have that door is now open for. Not only is Nate Frazier, we think, a guy who's going to take a big leap, but then that frees up Chauncey Bowens and Dwight Phillips, 2 guys who didn't really get a lot of playing time last year. That opens the door for Bo Walker, a true freshman, to get some carries. There are guys that can pick up the slack. Etienne's a great player, and we wish him success in Carolina. But Georgia, I feel maybe not better about Georgia's running backs than I did last year, because last year there was a known commodity going in Etienne, who's a guy that we watched be a pretty good player for Florida, and we knew that he could be a good player. But this year, I feel like the unknowns, with most position groups, the unknowns kind of scare me. But at running back, I kind of like the fresh legs,
I hear you there, and like you said, we'll get into that more when we get into our 2025 season prediction. But anything else from the most recent scrimmage that you want to highlight?
No, not a ton. I guess just on the quarterback front, there were reports that all 3 of them looked pretty good, and they were all moving the ball. So, I think it's worth noting that there's not one of the 3 quarterbacks between Montgomery, Stockton, and Puglisi has not been notably bad in fall camp, which I think is a good sign because we would have probably heard about it by now if that was the case, and that's not been reported. So the backup quarterback situation should not be a complete disaster this season, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like, there's no real competition. It's Gunner's job. And hopefully this guy is ready to go next Saturday.
Yeah, we will see. They're not going to name him the starter though. We're going to have to wait.
Yeah, I guess not. The plan is there is no plan, I think Kirby Smart once said, but that quote didn't age as good as some of Kirby's other lines, but
he's got some bars, man.
Yeah, but let's get into our 2025 season preview, sir. I probably could have made a graphic that was kind of game by game, that was a little more suspenseful here, but we're just gonna put it all out. We're just gonna put it on the table. Yeah. There it is, sir. There is our 2025 game by game season prediction.
Script leaks.
Me being named green. My scores are in green there. Yours. Your name is your name is Underwood, but you're white, whatever. I'm a white person. Exactly. So I don't think there's a lot to add. Marshall, I think we both expect Georgia to take care of business in that one. Name your score. Austin P, same thing. I think that's going to be a blowout. But Tennessee was the first game we both have on the schedule. I think, to me, 6 months ago, I would have said the most difficult game on Georgia's schedule is week 3 at Tennessee. Part of it, what Tennessee was supposed to be in Knoxville. Nico Iamaleava. I'm not even high on Nico, not nearly as high on Nico as other people. But year 3, second year as a starter, maybe this guy was going to come in and take his game to the next level. But really just how inexperienced Georgia is going to Knoxville. Third game, but basically the first meaningful game of the season. That was the reason it was such a tricky spot that I was really worried about this game. Now I feel like I'm still worried about the offense. I think we both kind of agree. You have 20-10 there. I have 23-20. I could just see this game being kind of a rock fight. Georgia not knowing exactly what they are offensively yet, but I still feel like they should be able to go into Knoxville and beat the Volunteers for what Kirby's never lost to Tennessee in Knoxville. So Tennessee's got a few of those streaks. They haven't beaten Alabama in Tuscaloosa in like 20-something years. Haven't beaten Florida in Gainesville in 20-something years. And they haven't beaten Georgia in Knoxville for 6 or 7 straight. Yeah. But what are your thoughts on Tennessee?
I mean, when was the last time? It was the Reggie Davis drop? Yeah. I mean,
20 because the Hail Mary was 2016.
That was 2016.
So, the year before, 2015.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth with rock fight, because that's exactly what I was going to call this game too. These are two teams that I think at this point in the season are going to really be trying to find out who they are, what they are. Obviously, Georgia, we've talked ad nauseum about the amount of, different starters they have coming in or may not have coming in, just the amount of unknowns all across the roster that are there. And then Tennessee, kind of the same thing. They're losing I think they're losing like their 2 top receivers from last year, like Brew McCoy and Dante Thornton is gone, I think.
Yeah.
White. You have obviously the whole Nico debacle. Now you have Joey Aguilar, who just got named as a starter, coming in as your transfer portal Band-Aid emergency quarterback. So yeah, I think they're gonna have 2 freshmen starting on the offensive line probably. So I think this is just gonna be a really, really strange game. But like you said, Kirby Smart, for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, because he's Kirby Smart, just knows how to get these guys prepared to go play in Neyland. And yes, it is daunting for Gunnar Stockton's first road start to be in Neyland Stadium, which is why we both have it as a pretty close game. But I just ultimately think Georgia as a program is built to win games like that, even when they have so many unknowns on their team and everything, because, again, it helps that this is a Tennessee team that is in even more of a weird situation than Georgia is.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's one thing as the season gets closer. We've talked all off season about how this is just the most uncertain Georgia team ever. And then you start to look around the SEC around college football, it's like, well, all things considered, there's a lot of question marks on a lot of teams. It might not just be Georgia. But yeah, I mean, and a lot of these games haven't even been close. Like 2017 was 41-0, 2019. I know that's the game where Eric Stokes had that hit on the quarterback and Crowder. Yeah. That was a blowout. I want to say 41-10 or something like that. And then the 2021, that one was closer, about a quarter and a half, and then Georgia kind of took control of the game. And then 2023, I think that was the best game. That 2023 team played a lot of good games, but that was one of the best games Carson Beck ever played. Yeah. After they took that opening run all the way, it's like they didn't do anything for like the next 58 minutes of the game, essentially.
Yeah.
Dylan Bell's probably best game of his career as well.
Oh, easily. He went off that game.
Yeah, but Beck was just making some insane throws in that 2023 game, and Georgia just dominated. Was that one was it like 38-10? I want to say something like that.
I think it was exactly 38-10. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. None of these have been close in Knoxville under Kirby Smart. So this is, and both of us have clearly this being the closest game in Knoxville since Kirby Smart arrived. But this is where we differ, sir. Week 4, Alabama Crimson Tide coming to town for the first time in the Kirby Smart era. They will be playing in Athens. And maybe it's maybe this is wishful thinking, but Kirby's sitting here at 1-6 against Alabama. Surely, Kalen DeBoer cannot just continue the domination of the Dogs like Nick Saban did. And Georgia, and man, you talk about, it's obviously just discouraging to lose Alabama in general. But what was they ended Georgia's SEC winning streak with like whatever 28 straight wins or something like that, 30 straight wins.
Yeah.
So for them to come in and end Georgia's like 35 game home winning streak, whatever it would be, that after you add the Marshall and Austin Peay into it, that would just be such a buzzkill if Alabama ends another streak for Georgia. So I don't know, playing in Sanford Stadium, the Tide haven't seen Sanford Stadium like this in a long time. Yeah, I mean, they haven't seen Sanford Stadium, period, in a decade. But I think 2015 with Mark Richt and company, that stadium was just people might think it sounds like you're a fair weather fan. Like, oh, once Georgia got good, it became a tough place to play. But it really was like year one of Kirby. Before Georgia was even good, it was like the fan base is we're not all divided. Half of us don't want to fire the head coach every time we don't get a first down. It's like it was just so toxic that last year or two, or honestly probably last 4 or 5 years under Mark Richt. Mm-hmm. It was like immediately in 2016. I know the Auburn game was one, the Tennessee game, both of those were just like insane environments. And it's just like, I think Sanford Stadium has just been a different environment since Kirby Smart got hired. And I think Georgia pulls out the win over Alabama, but you don't feel that way, sir. So what are your thoughts? Georgia, Alabama.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree that Sanford Stadium is a crazy home field advantage, because it is. I mean, they haven't lost there in 5 years, but the reason I have them losing to Alabama now is just because, it's a tricky point in the season. It's a late September game. It's Georgia's second SEC game against a program that, they got them in the Natty one time, but other than that, they lose to them a lot. There's definitely an element of that in there, just the history that these two programs have. I know that both of these teams are starting brand new quarterbacks and everything, and Alabama has a new play caller and everything, but I really just feel like Alabama has more figured out about its team than Georgia does at this point in the year. They've got the stud wide receiver that nobody on Georgia can guard. They've got a very good defensive line, good secondary, good offensive line. Like I expect them to be able to run the ball pretty well. I know Jam Miller might not play in that game. I know he's been banged up, but I just think at this point in the year, Georgia is going to still be kind of figuring itself out, going to be coming off of a weird game in Knoxville, whatever it is. And I mean, you're saying like, surely Alabama won't break another streak for Georgia, but like every time a Georgia streak ends, it's always Bama doing it. So I think I don't know. I just until I see otherwise happen consistently, happen more than once without the involvement of Keely Ringo, Alabama beats Georgia a lot, man, and I just think they've got them at a good time in the year. I think if you flip the Texas and Alabama games, if you put the Alabama game in November, then I might have a different answer for you. But I just think at that point in the year, I think Alabama has just enough to pull off the win on the road.
Yeah, let's all hope you're wrong on this one. So the last home game, so they lost the last one of Mark Richt, the last year Mark Richt, then the blackout game, and the last one before that I think was a win. I want to say 2003
when Georgia
with David Green. Home? Yeah, I think 2003 last time Georgia beat Alabama in Athens. And I think they blasted them, I want to say, in 2003. Alabama obviously wasn't the same then. The 2002 game in Tuscaloosa is the whole one where Pat Dye said Georgia wasn't man enough to go into Tuscaloosa. And that was like the headline was man enough. I remember that being a whole thing. But yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. So you have Georgia starting 3-1, and then I'm noticing a trend here with your offensive production. We'll keep it going. Kentucky, I think we both expect that game to be much different than it was a year ago. You have 24-3, I have 34-10, and then our graphic is cut off right there. You have 23-14 over Auburn. I have 27-23. But you have us going the first. Oh, I should say we both have us going the first 6 games of this season. I should say first 4 games versus Power 4 competition versus SEC play without scoring 30 points. Or I should say you do. You have the Georgia not scoring 30 points in each of the first 4 SEC games. Is that how you feel about Georgia's offense this year?
Yeah, I just think they have so much to still figure out, with your new quarterback and your new look offensive line and your new pass catchers. And, you have Nate Frazier coming back at running back. But other than that, it's a lot of new hands in there at running back too. So like I don't think the offense is going to be bad or like anything or unwatchable, but it had a weird start to last season when it had a more established quarterback and it had a better or a more established offensive line, what I think is probably a better offensive line in terms of just the personnel. And we saw them get off to a really funky start. And honestly, like Georgia's offense never really did fully round into form at any point last year. The closest they came was probably that Tennessee game. So yeah. I think that's going to – I just think that last year compounded with all of the changes in personnel that you have this year, I just don't think Georgia's going to be lighting it up by any means for the first month or so of the season.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Even was Clemson, was it 34-3 or 30-3 or something 34. A year ago? 34. And it's like, even that one, I feel like you go back, what was it? 6-3, I think at the end of the half. And yeah, it took a couple big plays there in the second half to kind of break that one open. A lot of slow starts a year ago. So hopefully Georgia can change that. The Auburn one on the road at Auburn, we saw what happened the last time Georgia went to Jordan-Hare. Brock Bowers had to, put his Superman cape on and lead Georgia in the fourth quarter to that one. But the second half of the schedule, Ole Miss obviously just gave Georgia a beat down like we haven't seen last year. Just an uncompetitive beat down like we haven't seen before. But Georgia absolutely annihilated them in 2023 when they came to Athens. So maybe I'm splitting the difference there, and I think both of us have Georgia winning this one by 2 touchdowns. Just really not sure what to expect from Ole Miss. I think the defense is not going to be the same, but the offense could be, every bit as good. It's Lane Kiffin. It's Austin Simmons has a lot of hype around him. As good as Jackson Dart was, it wouldn't surprise me if their offense is just as good. But I think this defense is why it's the defense is the main reason I think 2023 is the best Ole Miss team we'll ever see. I just don't think Lane Kiffin is capable. I think that's why it was such a missed opportunity, because they didn't not make the playoff because they weren't good enough. They didn't make the playoff because they didn't take care of business against the bad teams on the schedule. Yeah, against Kentucky, against Florida. LSU wasn't necessarily a bad team, but just a team they should have beaten a year ago. So I think hopefully Georgia rights that ship and beats Ole Miss like we both think. And then we both have Florida being a close game. You have Georgia 32-26. I have Georgia 27-20. I think there's a lot of talk that, if DJ Lagway doesn't get hurt, Florida easily wins that game. It's like, okay, it's he was what, like 2 for 6 or something, 3 for 6 or something when he got hurt. He obviously threw that one long touchdown pass, but with how it turned out, and that was one of Georgia's more forgettable games of the season. It was not a great performance. CJ Allen pick late turned it into a 2-touchdown win, but we were sweating that one for a while, and it didn't feel good at all.
No, it did not. Yeah, I totally agree that as much as I hate to admit it, Florida is slowly inching its way back towards relevance. We started to see the first few inklings of that last year, especially towards the beginning of that game. So, yeah, I mean, I know they've had a ton of injuries to a lot of key players in camp, especially including to DJ Lagway. But assuming that he's the guy and he's healthy going into this game, I think it's going to be a pretty entertaining game. And if Lagway is healthy the whole time and he's nearly as good as he's supposed to be, shouldn't Florida be ranked by this point in the year? Like this should be a pretty good game, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Florida is just I group Florida, Auburn, and Oklahoma in together. I'm kind of like, with every conversation I've had with people this offseason, like those 3 teams just feel like, yeah, they could all win 10 games, they could all win 5 games, and I wouldn't be surprised either way. Like we could be talking about Georgia, Florida being College game day, a top 10 matchup, and we could talk about Billy Napier not even being the head coach by the time they get to Jacksonville. I mean, with that schedule, it's just, who do they have before? I mean, they got Miami and LSU. I know both early. Texas A&M absolutely took them to the woodshed last year in the swamp, like in Kyle Field. Like it's hard to imagine that one being much different.
They have Texas before us too.
Oh, is that probably, and then the bye, Texas in the bye, and then Georgia.
It's okay. No, they play Texas October 4th, so that's like it's Texas.
Oh, okay.
Then they go to Kyle Field, then they host Mississippi State, then the bye. Gotcha. So honestly, they might not be ranked by then because
I mean they could be looking at 3 or 4 losses.
Yeah, dude. 3 straight games. This is insane. 4 straight games. They have LSU, Miami, Texas, and Texas A&M. That's like, I don't feel bad for them or anything, but that's like really hard.
No, it definitely is, and I feel like their entire hopes and dreams are being put on DJ Lagway's shoulders, and it's like, the fact that this guy's had some difficulties staying healthy last year, in the spring, whatever rumors are of him being in a walking boot or different things throughout this offseason, I think that's massive. But still, maybe it's just the PTSD in me as a Georgia fan in Jacksonville. But it doesn't feel like it's going to be easy. Maybe I should let that go. Georgia's got 6 of the last 7 wins in this series, so clearly the rivalry has changed, but I don't know. This year feels a little different. It feels like Florida's got some momentum, and if they can be sitting at least like at most 2 losses going into that Jacksonville game, it's going to be a rowdy environment for sure.
Yeah, or maybe they lose like all those games, and then they just want it so badly to beat Georgia, and then they kick into another gear that they didn't even have, and then they take out all their frustrations. So
yeah, there is that.
Florida. We keep hearing that they're finally good, so they better be, because we both have this being a 1-score game. We could have both been way not nice. I almost just put this game as 65-7 just to do it, So
no, I don't see that happening. Exactly. Then the Mississippi State game was another game that I think gets kind of overblown last year. It was not pretty, but it's like Georgia, I think, was up like 28-10 or something going into the 4th. They had a pretty big lead going into the 4th, and then started giving up huge plays offensively. Like, I think it ended up being 41-31 or something like that.
I was more sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was more mad about that game than the Kentucky game last year. I thought we played terrible in that game.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely didn't play well.
Georgia deserved to lose that game.
I would say. I disagree.
Dylan Bell, if that insane Dylan Bell play didn't happen, there would be nothing memorable about that game at all. That game.
I'm not sure I even remember the Dylan Bell play you're talking about from the Mississippi State game.
Unless I'm thinking of a different game, there was a pretty insane Dylan Bell touchdown that happened in that game. But maybe I'm just thinking of a completely different game.
Okay, you could be right. It's not, nothing's popping up out of my head, right off the top of my head, but you could be right about that one.
I swear I'm not making this up.
The Kentucky game was way worse, though. That was a way more losable game.
Yeah. If it wasn't Mississippi State, that might have gone completely differently.
No, that's probably true. And that quarterback is now the Van Buren, now the backup at LSU. So,
he did. Okay.
Yeah. So there is that. So I don't know if they can necessarily build off of their performance from a year ago.
Are they starting Zach Calzada?
No, Kentucky. That's Kentucky. Blake Shapen, is at Baylor. Yeah.
Blake Shapen. That's right.
Which, he's been solid at times, but I don't know. Mississippi State and Kentucky are probably the two worst teams in the SEC this year. So, those should be some usual. Yeah, those should be not as usual because Vanderbilt is usually down there. It feels like Vanderbilt actually has kind of a pulse right now.
No, they do. They're 8-year quarterback.
But yeah, we both see that one being a pretty lopsided. You have 41-10. I went 37-17. And then spoiler alert, we both have Georgia going 11-1. This is my one. It killed me to do it because I don't want to pick Georgia to lose a home game. I just want to keep that streak going on forever. But I feel like this team just doesn't feel like a 12-0 team. And if I'm picking the best team on Georgia's schedule next year, I think it's the Texas Longhorns. So I got Georgia losing to Texas 27-20. You got Georgia beating Texas 26-24. Why am I wrong, Bo?
Because Georgia owns Texas. I think that's all it really comes down to. That's not a great reason. So I'll elaborate a little bit more. But yeah, I think that them getting Texas, a couple weeks later in the season than they did last year. This is November 15th type game or something. I think Georgia's going to be pretty. I think we're going to know a lot more about Georgia at this point in the season. Obviously they'll have 8 games under their belt at that point. And it just comes down to, dude, I know what I saw last year. Texas had a better football team than Georgia, and they played them twice, and Georgia won both times, and neither game was even in Athens. And I know that, Texas is well, they're not they're the preseason number 1 and hand them the trophy now. And they have Arch Manning at quarterback and it's going to be so great. And they spend all this money on their team, but I'm not buying it, man. I don't think they're going to beat Georgia because if they didn't beat Georgia last year, then I don't know, man. You couldn't beat them at home with the Zebras throwing you a lot of bones. You couldn't beat them in the SEC championship on a neutral field when their starting quarterback got injured at halftime. When are you going to beat them?
Yeah, you're not wrong. And you're at least keeping your same energy because Alabama's dominated Georgia in recent years. Yeah. And you went Alabama and Georgia's dominated Texas, I guess just last year. I don't know if you're having some audio issues over there. I heard a little something. I don't know. A little scratching or something.
Scratching me. Oh wait, I know what it is. Hold on.
But I'll keep it going. But yeah, Texas, I think and I'm not even as high on them as some other people. I'm not the one that's predicting Arch Manning to win the Heisman or anything like that. But I don't know. I think you're not wrong that it felt like they were a better team than Georgia a year ago. That's why I think most people picked Texas both times these teams played, and Georgia still found a way to win. So hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully Georgia keeps that domination of the Longhorns going. But I think that's where Georgia gets tripped up for the first time next year.
I'm sure it'll be a hell of a game. Yeah, I hope it's a more normal football game than either of the other two have been. But honestly, probably not. It's probably going to be chaos and disorder once again. So I'm excited for that game.
For sure. And then the worst game of the season, and I guess Georgia might have the SEC championship locked up by the time Texas comes in, if I'm correct. Right. And they're sitting at a 7-0 conference record, with that being the last one. Because I just always hate when Georgia's schedule turns out like this, and it's got the cupcake after the last SEC game. So Georgia ends SEC play in mid-November. It's just always such a bummer, such an anticlimactic way to end the season. No disrespect to the 49ers out there, but Charlotte, I don't think is going to give Georgia much of a game. I see you did go the 65-7 in this one, a repeat of the TCU national championship game. I went 48-6. I think we both see these games being blowouts. And then the last one, Georgia Tech. I have Georgia Tech 34-27 after that 8 overtime game a year ago. You have 40-24. Georgia's winning this one by 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions. Why is Georgia going to have an easier time with the Yellow Jackets this year than they did last year?
I just think Georgia Tech really snuck up on them last year, and Georgia will not allow that to happen again. Because Georgia Tech, I mean, they were a pretty good team last year, but they should not have been in that game with Georgia at all. I mean, Georgia should have dominated that game, but they just were asleep at the wheel for the first 3 quarters of it. And I think that game was a huge wake up call for them, and I also think that them moving it to the Benz is going to be a huge disadvantage for Georgia Tech, because unless they're literally playing in Bobby, I know it's the same city and everything, but
Georgia does own Bobby Dodd Stadium as well.
I've just always felt like unless the game is literally in Bobby Dodd and the stadium is 95% Tech fans, Tech is not going to beat Georgia. Maybe that's just me being stupid, and Tech is really different this year. But they had a key loss in Eric Singleton to the portal, and last year just really feels like that was their opportunity to get that win, and they didn't get it.
It does kind of feel that way, but I will give them credit. Most times, I would say when Georgia Tech has beaten Georgia, they've caught a sleepy team, or even if they keep it close, they've caught a sleepy team, a noon kickoff. But that one last year being Friday night, Black Friday and everything, like a big time night game, it felt like there was the big game atmosphere, and they just, I don't know. I want to give Georgia Tech credit because they were a good team a year ago, and I think they'll be even better this year. But I mean, they kind of dominated Georgia for the first 2 quarters of that game a year ago. So it's hard to say they were sleepy. Like Buster Faulkner was dialing up some things and giving Georgia a lot of trouble. But another game where Carson Beck really kind of single-handedly led Georgia back into that one. And they were able to get it done. But yeah, I don't know. I see that one maybe being close again this year.
And it could be, man. And maybe I'm just overcorrecting because of how crazy the game was last year. But it's, yeah, I mean, anytime a team takes you to 8 overtimes, they're probably capable of beating you again. So maybe I'm just being too optimistic and I'm blinded by the rivalry aspect of it all. But I really think that move to Mercedes-Benz is going to make a difference in this game. Not a positive difference. It sucks that it's there. It's terrible, and I don't like it at all. But for our purposes, I think it might lead to Georgia winning by a lot.
Oh man, I wish I had the rivalry name off the top of my head. What is it? The Invesco QQQ Atlanta Showdown or something?
Showdown. It's so annoying, dude.
Yeah, it's plain old fashioned hate until anyone says otherwise. Caden, the Diesel Freak, chiming in here in the live chat as well. Georgia's going 12-0, and I heard about rumors of John Gruden coaching at Georgia. John Gruden was being wined and dined at Georgia and seeing everything, but I don't think there's a chance John Gruden is the coach. I don't think he's going to take on a Will Muschamp analyst role or anything like that. He's definitely not replacing Kirby Smart. So I don't know. He talked about wanting to coach in the SEC, so who knows who that is. Is it Florida if they fire Napier? Is it Auburn if they fire Hugh Freeze? I don't know, but I don't know. John Gruden, and didn't Tennessee do this for years? Throw around John Gruden. Yes. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm not going to speculate on John Gruden joining the SEC, but I don't know.
John Gruden has been on a crazy image rehabilitation tour over the past year or so after getting fired for being racist and homophobic by the Raiders. So now he's like a football content creator. I think he works for Barstool, and now everyone loves him again.
Yeah.
So, we'll see if he makes his way back to a big time coaching job. Because
I'd be surprised. He still does a great job with Gruden's QB camp and all that. But yeah, a little
Chucky.
I don't think the Spider 2Y banana is coming to Athens, but
probably not.
Who knows? Quickly, sir, we'll wrap up here. These are our game by game predictions. We also went with our statistical predictions. So for those of you who feel free to screenshot that. It's kind of interesting. You have a lot more so I should say my predictions are in green there. Yours is in the best I could do to get Honolulu blue, for the big Detroit Lions fan up there. But yeah, we both have pretty similar. I have 26 touchdowns, 6 picks for Gunner. You have 25 to 10. I think I see Gunner being, and maybe this is just wishful thinking, because I think if Georgia's offense is going to be better, I think Gunner's legs have to be a part of it. And I think Gunner, I have 380 yards and 5 touchdowns. Like, he's actually a legit dual threat. And hopefully, I don't see many things coming from the backups this year personally. But what say you about? And then to just help the audience there, the top line there is our 2 predictions averaged together. So, any takes on this?
Yeah, I have Gunner throwing double-digit interceptions just because of that one interception he threw against Texas. That was so bad that nearly lost them the game. So I still question his decision-making a little bit, even though I don't think the turnovers are going to dominate the season nearly as much as they did last year when, there was that one stretch that Beck had. I tried to do the rushing stats, like me thinking that he'll be good for like one scramble a game, maybe 2. So maybe I had him have a little less yards than that. I also was not factoring in sacks at all. Like, that's legit just like me thinking how many times he's actually going to tuck it and run.
That's fair.
Maybe it'd be a little more. Maybe I should have had 35 rush attempts on there instead of 25. But I don't know. I kind of think the dual threat stuff with Gunner is a little bit overblown. He's a good athlete and he can move, but I just don't buy that, like, his legs are going to be like a real component of the offense. I think they'd rather have him not taking as many hits.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And Stetson for reference had 56 for 259 and 1 touchdown in 2021. I only have 20.
So I definitely should have more then, because he's going to run it about as much as Stetson. I feel like maybe a little.
Maybe though, but like you're saying, like, that's one thing I was disappointed. Oh, and then as a senior is way different. He had basically worse rushing production, 57 for 205, but then he had 10 rushing touchdowns in his senior year. So I don't know that he'll have, and I think that's what I was saying. It's kind of maybe wishful thinking. I don't know that he'll have as good of production as Stetson on the ground. I kind of think for this Georgia offense to be as good as I want it to be, I think Gunner's legs have to be an aspect to it.
Maybe so. I probably should have had more rushing yards, but I don't know. Dual threat quarterbacks kind of scare me a little bit.
I hear you. We saw what happened in the Texas game when this dude took off to run. And that was my most disappointing aspect of probably the whole Notre Dame game, other than Kirby Smart's, game management at the end of the second quarter, was just the fact that Gunner, his legs were really not a factor at all in that game. Mm-hmm. That's what it's honestly one of the things that makes me worry the most about this 2025 season, because that was always an element about his game as a prospect. But on the rushing production,
yes,
I'm a little higher on Nate Frazier. I got Nate Frazier just over 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns, 300 yards receiving. And you might have to squint your eyes a little bit. This isn't the best graphic I've made, but we'll make it work. But on average, we basically think Frazier will be roughly 1,000-yard rusher, 9 touchdowns. You're a little higher on Josh McCray than I am. You have 884 yards and 11 touchdowns. I don't know. I kind of think that after Frazier, I kind of think we're going to see a lot of carries kind of split a little more evenly. Like, I think McCray is the clear number 2, and then I think it's just going to be pretty even from then on out.
I think McCray just has well, you could maybe say Robinson, but I just don't trust Robinson to stay healthy. I think Robinson notwithstanding, I think McCray just has an element of power and size and just oomph that nobody else in the running back room really has. And I think as the season goes on and we trudge into these really physical, really nasty SEC games, I just think that's going to become invaluable. And Georgia didn't really have a big old bruiser on the team last year, like you and I have both lamented a lot. So, yeah, now that I'm looking at it, will it be an 18 carry difference on the season between Frazier and McCray if they're both healthy? Probably not. Frazier will probably dominate a little bit more of the carries than I had here and when I made this prediction in my office this afternoon. But
hey, who knows, man?
I really do think McCray is just a different type of back from everybody on everyone else on the roster. I don't think he's the best back on the roster. I think Frazier is, but I really like the thunder and lightning potential that's there, and I'm a big Josh McCray guy. I'm stoked to see what he does this year because I love me a big old powerful running back, and that's what he is.
Yeah, if your predictions are correct about those top two, that's going to be a lot more similar to Georgia's 2023 run game with Kendall Milton and Dejon Edwards, which was a significant upgrade from what it was in 2024. And I'm clearly predicting an upgrade from 2024, having an 1,100-yard rusher. What, at 645? I had McCray second at 645. That's about what Frazier had last year, right? As the leading rusher.
Yeah.
Like 700 yards or something. So we need to see a big improvement there. I tend to think Bo Walker is going to be that third guy in terms of rushing production. We both have Cash Jones making some plays in the receiving game, but not so much in the run game. So third leading rusher, you have Chauncey Bowens. I found that interesting.
Yes, I do. I just really like Chauncey Bowens personally. He's just a super smooth runner, great contact balance. He's just a cool player to me, man. I really don't think he gets enough. He just doesn't get talked about enough. Him and Dwight Phillips, I think, can be really good. And me personally, I'm just kind of out on Roderick Robinson at this point. Not because I think he's bad. I think he could be a great player, but it's just his body has just betrayed him to this point. And, you have Cash Jones is going to be that receiving threat. Josh McCray is going to be that power guy. Nate Frazier is going to be like the main guy. Or not the main guy, I guess the main guy. And I think whenever you
60-40 main guy.
Yeah, and whenever you need someone other than those guys to do something, I think it will be Bowens. I don't like you have Bo Walker as kind of that third guy, which could very well happen. This is really a guessing game at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I think the extra year that Bowens has on Bo Walker will get him that job. And he's just an underrated player that I would love to see make an impact this year because I've always thought he's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we have pretty similar production there. If you average those predictions, they're both roughly 300-yard backs with 2 touchdowns. So, I could see Bo Walker or Chauncey Bowens being that third guy next year. Then in the receiving game, or I should start with the wide receivers.
Yes.
This was a little this table's a little smaller. I need to get my eyes checked here. You think Zachariah Branch is going to have a significantly better year than I do? I think you have 67 catches.
I do. Wow.
67 catches for Zachariah Branch. I have 38, but see, I have him being more of a I think I have the average a little bit higher and a couple more touchdowns. So it's kind of interesting. And I think it'll be a bigger impact in the running game as well. I think we'll just kind of find ways to get Zachariah Branch the ball. Our Noah Thomas predictions are almost identical. It's kind of crazy, but literally had the same number of catches predicted. So
wow.
Basically 55 catches for 800 and something yards, and we both had 8 touchdowns. So we're pretty similar there. Pretty similar on Colby Young on what we expect him to do next year. Pretty similar on Dylan Bell. We're 1 catch and 8 yards difference at our projections for Dylan Bell. So it's interesting based on our if you go all the way to the bottom, based on our newcomer draft, that's the one difference. I have Taylor a little higher. You got CJ Wiley a little bit higher. Yeah. But yeah, when it comes to Sokovie White and London Humphreys, I really have no idea what to expect from those guys. But I think they'll contribute some.
Yeah, I think Sokovie White is in line to be like the backup slot, if you will, whenever whenever they want to move Branch outside or just give him a breather. London Humphreys was just kind of disappointing last year to me. Like he just didn't. I mean, he had that great play week 1 against Clemson, and then all we really saw from him the rest of the way was like he dropped some passes and stuff. So
yeah,
I don't know. Taylor versus CJ Wiley. That's just like take your pick of which freshman you think is gonna pop off.
yeah.
I'm a big CJ Wiley guy, so I have him. And my thought with Branch is the reason I have him catching so many balls is, first of all, just, I mean, in line with Georgia's. Arian Smith caught about 64, 63 passes or something last year. Or no. Georgia's leading receiver in receptions, I believe, was Dominic Lovett with like 59 receptions. And that's because, Dominic Lovett was not that good last year, but he got a lot of catches out of the slot just because he caught so many quick hitters and screens and everything, partly because they couldn't trust him to catch anything else, but I digress. So I think Branch is going to benefit from a combination of the Mike Bobo manufactured force feed you the ball stuff, but I also think he's just a better football player than Dominic Lovett and a better route runner, better deep threat, better big play threat overall. So I think he's just going to have, the longer plays as well. And the big splash chunk plays that we didn't really see from Georgia's slot receivers last year. So I'm asking him to take a huge leap. I understand, because he's coming off of 550 yards and 1 touchdown last year. But that's the kind of athlete that he is. And that's the kind of player that people have been saying he can be for a couple of years now. They're going to need him to be really good. So I'm going to go ahead and project him to be really good.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think the Dominic Lovett call is pretty spot on, because Bobo gets a lot of shit for the screen game and everything. But at the end of the day, I think Georgia is, you can look at the stats. Georgia is one of the better screen teams year in and year out. They do work more than people think. They love to talk about on 3rd and 8 when they call a screen and it doesn't work, but the screens, I think, do work more than they get credit for. And Zachariah Branch in that role instead of Dominic Lovett, I think, should make a big difference. Also, I think you're sleeping on Dylan Bell in the running game. I think Dylan Bell is gonna do a little bit in the running game, but we'll see how much.
I'm sleeping on Dylan Bell in general, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, I think he was the number 1 receiver coming into the year last year. And now he's probably number 4. I think I like him a lot more as our number 4 guy.
I do too. I think 4th option, 5th option is a great. But honestly, dude, I would rather I'd rather see him on the field than some freshmen, because playing experience really matters a lot, especially in the SEC. But dude, I'd rather see Sokovia White out there than see Dylan Bell at this point. I mean, we've seen everything from Dylan Bell that we could possibly see, and he's not a needle mover to me, the same way that some of these other guys could be needle movers.
Do we feel differently about Dylan Bell if the Ryan Williams catch never happens and he makes that play to beat Alabama, the greatest comeback of all time?
Maybe,
that was a pretty great play.
Maybe we do, but the Ryan Williams catch did happen. And you know what else did happen? A bunch of dropped passes off the hands of Dylan Bell last year. So I'm not a huge, I mean, he's a really talented athlete, and he's pretty sick with the ball in his hands, which I get. Maybe I shouldn't have had him having 0 carries. To be quite honest, after I put Branch's rushing, I kind of forgot about it with everyone else. So I should have had him. Well, you can pretend that Dylan Bell says 10 carries for 71 yards on there for me. But
fair enough.
Again, I think he's a fine player for what he is. But if Georgia ends up needing major production out of Dylan Bell like they did last year, I don't think that's a good sign for the rest of their receiving core.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And to wrap up the rest of that receiving core, here's the tight end production. This was honestly really hard to know where to put the tight ends, because Oscar Delp, I feel like, is going to have a better year than he did a year ago. But also I feel like the receiving core is deeper than it was a year ago. So I don't know. Maybe he just does more with his catches this year. But I also feel like Lawson Lucky, you actually have Lawson Lucky with more receiving, with more catches and yards than Oscar Delp this year. And I started to do that because I like Lawson Lucky more as a receiving option, but I don't know. I feel like I'm still expecting Oscar Delp to have an improvement from last year.
I just think, yeah, like you said, I just think Lucky is just a better receiver. I mean, he's just got a more diverse route tree. It seems like he's open more often, and it seems like they just trust him to run more, elaborate route concepts. When Delp, it's a lot of, Delp will give chip help over here, and then he'll kind of float open and everything, and like that's great in the red zone, and he was great in the red zone last year doing that. But I don't know. Delp is a lot more to me of just a traditional in-line tight end who's going to, make a block, pop out right over the middle, catch the ball, and get tackled. And there's nothing wrong with that. Oscar Delp is going to go to the NFL and make a ton of money doing that. But I think for our purposes of tracking who's going to have better receiving production, I just like Lucky more from that standpoint.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Honestly, we were both pretty similar, about 10 yards off our predictions on Lawson Lucky. I think I have an error in my data right here. I think you had 0 touchdowns for Elias Williams, if I remember right.
Oh yeah, no,
that one's blank.
No, all of his catches are going to be touchdowns.
Yeah, I honestly started to do that, like 4 catches and 4 touchdowns or something.
That's
but
like
yeah,
I think last year.
Yeah, I feel like Elias Williams is going to be too good to keep off the field, honestly. Like, this dude is just a freak. He's another guy that's been talked about in the scrimmage. Just like this isn't Darnell Washington. Like, he's like 6'7", like 240. Like, this dude's a legit receiver at that size. Like, Darnell Washington was a glorified offensive lineman that could run routes. So I think Elias Williams is going to be used a little bit. So I had to put him on for a couple red zone touchdowns. I imagine we're going to throw up some jump balls to him at some point.
That's fun. I do like that. I agree with you that Elias Williams is going to be a sick player, if not at Georgia, then somewhere. But I mean, you look at like Delp and Lucky are going to be on the field a ton. Delp probably even more so because of what he adds as a blocker. Lucky is going to be that number 2. They're going to run a ton of 12 with both of them on the field. And I think that third tight end is going to be Riddell. Unless Elias Williams is like already better than Jaden Riddell, and he's just already surpassed him and everything, which that would just be crazy. But I think that natural pecking order is going to end up being the way we have it here on the screen.
No, it definitely could be. It's a loaded room. I don't know that Elias Williams can really get on the field this year, but I don't know. Just more stargazing for me. I want to see the big time 5-star get on the field. But I guess in the tight end room, there are big time 4 stars and 5 stars always on the field because that's exclusively the guys that Georgia brings in to that room. But this was good stuff, man. I appreciate everyone who tuned in live this week. Georgia's going 11-1. Bonus. What's the SEC championship? Is Georgia winning the SEC championship? And who are they playing?
Oh man, that's really far ahead, isn't it?
So we're just gonna go our 12 game.
Texas are gonna be
I think I'm with you. I
predicted Georgia to have the same season they did last year, except without the loss to Ole Miss. So
yeah, pretty much. I think I'm thinking more 2021. You know,
that'd be cool.
The one loss they have, I guess there was a SEC championship loss that they avenged in the title game, but the one regular season loss they have, I think they avenge in the SEC title game and beat the Longhorns. 3-1 isn't bad against the Longhorns in their first 2 years in the conference. No. So we'll see. It'd be kind of crazy if Georgia plays them 4 times in 2 years.
That would be nuts.
And still has only played A&M 1 time in the 13 years or something. In the conference.
Literally that one game.
It's just Georgia's never going to College Station apparently.
Can we please, man? That would be fun. Like,
I'm not that eager to go to College Station.
I'm not either. Like, no. From a Georgia fan perspective, it sucks playing there. It's really hard. But also, like, as a college football fan, like, I want to see that game, man.
Absolutely.
I want to see like dog fans traveling to Kyle Field sounds sick. I know they're not going to take it over because nobody takes over that place, but it'd be cool.
Yeah, because the only one was 2019.
Yeah,
in Athens.
That awful, disgusting mud.
Yeah, I remember George Pickens. George Pickens had that touchdown where he pulled the DB's face mask and got away with it. I don't know if you remember that,
dude. Like nothing happened in that game. But
yeah, that was. There's a lot of ugly games that 2019 season. But But yeah, that's all I got, sir. I appreciate it. As always, we'll come to you next Monday at 7:00, and then
we'll be off.
Then we'll be doing two shows a week, having our post game show as well, instant reaction and all that. But I appreciate everyone who's tuning in live. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel and all that stuff. And as always, go Dogs.
Sick 'em.